And we're live. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. I am your host for this evening, your comedian, meteorologist, Cloud Hudson. And I will be bringing you all of tonight's top weather stories, hopefully with a sunny disposition, cheerful attitude. So, hi, y'all. It's been quite the weekend. The last time I talked to y'all, we were in the midst of a southern snowstorm, and it was the full moon conjunct Mars. We are approaching the peak of the Mars opposition, which means that Mars is opposite the sun astrologically, which means astronomically, Mars, Earth, and the sun are all aligned. This is kind of like the full moon of Mars's transits. Matter of fact, I'm going to get into little stories about that. Oh, that's the wrong one. Not showing you that. Let's go to a different one. That one. Yes. Okay. So Mars about to be at its brightest for the first time since 2022. This is the Mars opposition. So what's happening is that Mars is on the other side of the Earth from the sun, which is what happens when there's a full moon. The moon is on the other side of the Earth from the sun. That means that the sun is shining onto Mars and like giving it its best lighting, its best like bone lighting, like highlight cheek, like fierce serving energy. The Mars looks the brightest and reddest when it's at its opposition. It's not the closest to the sun that we get Mars opposition at. It's not a perihelic opposition, which would be perihelion for Mars, but it is the one for this Mars cycle. It's also in retrograde right now, which means its apparent motion is contrary to what it usually looks like it's orbiting around the sun. Other stories we've got going on. Unprecedented video shows meteorite records sounds of impact. So we are listen to this. There you go. There's the unprecedented sound. I need that as a text message ringtone. Smashing into a million little pieces, recorded on a little Ring camera. This was in Canada. Somebody said scarily that he was just walking his dog and was just standing there a few minutes before. So he barely missed God throwing a rock at him. Let's see. Next item of business to attend to. We've got, don't freeze on me. There we go. The polar vortex will soon hit the U.S. See how cold it's going to get where you are. This is some January 15th through 30th predictions based on the Euro model of how cold it's going to get. A lot of places are going to get below zero soon. The polar vortex will continue dipping even further down than it has been already. This is air masses from Siberia moving across the poles into the northern Rockies and rapidly moving south and east. So this is stuff that's usually over the frozen tundra of, no, not an ad. Usually over the frozen tundra of the Eurasian plate. Okay, will you show the graphic or... we've had parts of more than 15 states now have twice their average season snowfall to date, after a couple big winter storms. Okay, let's keep going. Keep going. Keep going. There we go. Skip ad. Skip ad. And skip the ad. And skip the ad. And skip ad. There we go. Okay. So we're looking well below average temperatures for pretty much the entire country. Look at that. Spilling down from the poles. This should be locked up at the poles, but it's not. Breaking free, soaring, flying, all that lyrics from High School Musical. You know what else is breaking free? Kilauea. We've got another fountaining eruption going on at Kilauea Volcano over in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Should be a lot of crowds coming there. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure people would rather visit a volcano than have Arctic frozen air. You know, currently where I am, it's like 19 degrees, maybe 18, and really fucking cold. I'm in an unheated garage and it is fucking cold. I'm surprised that our water bottles hasn't frozen in here. Speaking of water bottles, I have heard that there's been water quality issues over in LA as a result of the wildfires. Let's go ahead and take a look at the wildfire map. U.S. wildfire activity map. Okay. Yes, you know I'm going to look at Southern California. Only one little red flag warning right now, which is good. Not right now. I think my computer's probably being a little slow because it's cold. Probably where the term frozen comes from. Oh, gosh. Okay, so these are all the new fires within the last 24 hours, the yellow things. The red ones are older than 24 hours, but probably from within the last weekend or yesterday. Here in Inglewood, there are some fires. Right along the 105, there's fires. There's little fires everywhere. Okay, are we going to zoom out? There we go. One closest to downtown LA today was discovered here on El Monte Busway, San Bernardino Freeway, right off the San Bernardino Freeway. There's a fire. What is this building? It doesn't say. But this building right here. We've got, let's see, over here, the Palisades wildfire is now 21% contained, which is better than 0%, but still not awesome. It is expanding daily. This is the perimeter for that fire. It's just huge, kind of engulfing all of Tuna Canyon Park. Here near Will Rogers State Beach, it's reaching all the way down here onto Corona del Mar. There are some little isolated areas where there are new fires popping up, and some where it's been excluded. All the way up here, reaching towards Malibu. So also up here, there's the Kenneth incident, the Eaton incident. That one is now at 45% containment. This is the one, the Altadena fire. This is the Eaton incident, is the Altadena fire that is ripping through a historically Black neighborhood where there's I just learned today that this is where Octavia Butler is buried in a cemetery here. And she is the beautifully insightful and foresightful, I guess, sci-fi author that wrote Parable of the Sower, which opens with a scene of LA on fire in 2025, and I believe something related to like foreshadowing the presidency going the way it's going right now. I haven't read it. I'm a bad leftist. But it's supposed to be a really like seminal work in fiction, really good, and apparently happening in real life. Really sad and ironic and tragic that her graveyard might be literally on fire right now. Anyway, that is the sad news out of LA right now. Still dealing with water quality issues as well. Let's go now to less scary fire, which is lava. Somehow less scary. Let's see our earthquakes for today. Hello, 19 degrees Fahrenheit in southern Vermont. It is 19 degrees Fahrenheit here as well. Welcome aboard the train. Do I want to allow notification? I think I'll allow notifications from volcanodiscovery.com. They're fine. Okay. I don't care. Volcanoes today. Volcanoes today. Okay, 36 erupting, 40 at warning, 25 at unrest. Ooh, Tilica volcano in Nicaragua had a new eruption. Urta Ale volcano, incredible videos from eruption site. I want to see that. Ooh, okay, so we've got an active eruption over in the Urta Ale, the Danakil Depression in Ethiopia. This is where we've been seeing all those, what? Don't block this. How do I load that? View page. Whatever. Why I don't know why it's not letting me load this. That makes no sense. Okay. Well, this is some awesome imagery of it. Let's see. Do we have any webcams there? Yeah, they've been having some decent quaking and thermal activity there. No satellite images available. Nothing showing. Let's look at this update. Yet another lava batch in the southern pit crater. The effusive eruption at the volcano, it continues to be elevated. Another surge of lava formed in the southern pit crater on the 12th of January as detected in the satellite imagery. The false color acquisition registered strong thermal anomaly indicating lava overflows in the southeastern direction. Moderate to vigorous spattering continues to eject juvenile and molten lava clots from the sizable hornito, coalescing and forming lava flows. So look at that, expanding lava flows in Ethiopia. This is the formation of a new sea, a new ocean. This is the earth ripping open. It's fresh wound, still oozing blood, the blood being the lava, creating new earth right here, right now. Mount Ibu continues its eruption. Samiru had an eruption reported, and Santiguito in Guatemala had an ongoing volcanic ash emission. Explosive volcanic ash emissions happen frequently down in Fuego in Guatemala. Nevado del Ruiz had a dense volcanic ash emission to 19,000 feet. Sangay had possible ongoing emissions. Reventador in Ecuador, ongoing ash emissions. Let's see what our updates for the rest of the world are today. White Island making some headlines. Oh, here's Tilica in Nicaragua. And this is in Ethiopia again. Suano's Jima not showing volcanic ash on satellite imagery, but doesn't mean it's not there. Quianlon in central Philippines erupting. Mount Ibu had a volcanic ash eruption. Samiru had a volcanic ash eruption. And Dukono also had volcanic ash. White Island had an eruption on the 14th. Plume to the southwest of volcano, unlikely to contain significant volcanic ash. Santiaguito Fuego, Tilica, Nicaragua. New ash emissions occurred from the active vent yesterday. The height of the ash plume was unknown and not reported yet by the local observatory. So that is going on. Updates will be ongoing. Nevada del Ruiz, Songhai, okay. And Urtael, let's see. Following the recent intense effusive activity of the volcano, I don't know why it won't let me see this page. Fuck you, Microsoft Edge. Why won't you let me see this? Okay, whatever. Following the recent intense effusive activity of the volcano, the local guide and geologist Inku Mulugeta observed the activity at a site from where we provided first-hand information. Moderate to vigorous spattering continues, ejecting juvenile and molten lava clots from the large tornado, which coalesce and form lava flows. Slabs of dark solidified crust continue to shift on the lava flow surface, accompanied by typical bright orange lava glow between them. So that really cool crusty cake, like I think of it as like a crusty icing kind of look to it of the lava is currently occurring. Okay. Let's see. Free coffee. I would need free coffee for sure. Be sure to send me free coffee. You can donate to my coffee, and then I will get a free coffee. Speaking of coffee, has anybody else experienced increased like heartburn or acid reflux type feelings right now? Me and some other coworkers encountered that today, and we all don't usually get that. So really interesting. I'm wondering if there's something increasing inflammation or proton pump activity in the stomach going on. Let's go to our earthquakes now. Talked about fire in the earth, fire on top of the earth. Now let's talk about the earth moving itself. There we go. All right. Earthquakes. I'm going to leave it a little extended. So there is the part of Ethiopia that this active volcanic eruption is going on in. It continues to get these 5s and 4s, 5.2 at 0 kilometers depth, definitely corresponding with that volcanic eruption. We have a 5.1 down here at 10 kilometers depth in the South Sandwich Islands, and right above that on the same longitude, a 5.6 on the mid-Atlantic ridge at 0 kilometers depth, right about on the equator and on the mid-Atlantic ridge, and on the same longitude as this 5.1, which is really cool to me. We've got some surface quakes all over here. The 6.1 is kind of a leftover that we're showing from a few days ago. These are some older quakes we've already talked about too. Actually, this 4.2 happened yesterday. That's a 4.2 at 150 kilometers depth. And here's our cluster of quakes over in Puerto Rico. We had 2 quakes in like central-ish Virginia. We had a 2.7 and a 2.3, both at 0 kilometers depth here. Let's see what's around there. I actually want to open this in the other window so you guys can see it. There we go. Let's see. This is just outside of Richmond, Virginia. Also near a golf course. Why are they always near golf courses? English Ivy Wayne. Lane, English Ivy Lane, English Ivy Lane, Greenwick Drive, this cul-de-sac right here. Something happened at that house. Maybe some kids in the cul-de-sac made a potato cannon and it set off the Richter scale. I don't know. Wyndham is the area of Richmond that this earthquake was, the epicenter was located in. So very interesting. Not used to seeing quakes there in Virginia. Let's see. Could be the full moon, the wolf moon. I like that idea. It's also conjunct Mars, so that would make a lot of sense that we would have extra heat in the body, astrologically and in medicine. Let's see. 1.4 and 2.0 over in Oklahoma. We had a few twos in Texas. Tons of quakes all over the West. Let me take the ring sizes down. We can see their locations there. As you see, a lot in Southern California itself. 3.0 here on the Baja Peninsula. This is happening on the outskirts and sometimes right where there are fires burning in LA right now. Thankfully, none of them are too big. A lot of the momentum that happens in California, it's kind of like a low constant vibration rumble. So it's not a big smack in the face of seismic activity. Alaska looking very active too, just still on the lower magnitudes like usual, which is a good thing. Let's see, what is this? Like a 3.0 is the biggest one, and that's way out in the ocean. As we get out onto the Aleutian Island chain, though, we see a 3.7 at 17 kilometers depth. Who's texting me this late? Also, why is my ringtone on? Makes no sense. The got 1.6, 1.9, 1.2, all at islands out there. Got a 2.6 and 2.2, pretty low activity for actively erupting volcano. Over here in the Ring of Fire areas, we've got 4.3, 4.9. That 4.3 is very deep, or pretty deep at 171 kilometers depth. We had a 4.5 at the H-shaped plate boundary here in the middle of Japan, just off the coast of Tokyo at 51 kilometers depth. A 4.9 at the beginning of the volcano islands in Japan at 35 kilometers depth, and a 5.0 right here in the central Philippines at 10 kilometers depth. We also had in Indonesia a 4.8 at 201 kilometers depth, 4.1 at 10 kilometers depth. Then in Australia, 3.1 at 0 kilometers depth. Over here in the, which island chain is this? The Vanuatu? Yes, in the Vanuatu island chain, we had a 5.0 at 76 kilometers depth and a 5.7 at 48. There was also a 4.7 here near Fiji at 483 kilometers depth, probably the biggest, deepest one we've got today. Then that gets us back to where we started. Over here in the Indian Ocean, we had a 4.8 at 10 kilometers depth. That is not quite on the plate boundary, but very close to the plate boundary between the Indo-Australian plate and the African plate. And there were also continued aftershocks in the area of Tibet, where we had that 7.2 last week or a couple weeks ago. We also had 4.2 here in very far western China, and a 4.2 at 197 kilometers depth in the Afghanistan-Tajikistan border region. Okay, that's our little earthquake rundown. Pretty standard earthquake day. These are not shocking ones based on the frequency we get them at these different locations. Okay, let's go now to our atmosphere. And I'm going to, make this smaller. There we go. And I'm also going to change what we have up there. Let's put our current National Weather Service hazards up in the corner. Not much. Okay. So currently, clicked on the wrong thing. Currently, this is the winter weather product from our Mosaic radar system. We can see this big old system just dangling draped across the entirety of Lake Michigan. We've also got Lake Superior, very cold as well, doing kind of a lake effect thing, but also this is being fueled by some circulation up here in Canada in like the Hudson Bay. No relation to me that I know of. This is a warm front, but it's only a warm front because that polar vortex is up here being so much colder than it is down here. It's still really fucking cold right here. And as you can see, because this is a warm front bringing snow. Let's see, down here in the Gulf Coast region, we've got a stationary front that is bringing precipitation all along the Gulf Coast and panhandle of Florida. Let's get a better look at that from our reflectivity. Reflectivity doesn't look too intense for rain. Now, if that was winter weather, then it would be pretty constant snow. As you see up here, this doesn't even look very intense on reflectivity alone, but that's because those kinds of clouds can produce snow at a lower reflectivity. When it's going to be snow, the reflectivity doesn't like show as brightly as when it's going to be rain, but it still falls. Rain, on the other hand, doesn't seem like it's raining that much if it's just like what would be a flurry. The same amount of water that it takes to make a water droplet, a raindrop, can make snowflakes 10 size the size, 10 times the size. Snow can be up to 10 times the size of liquid water because of the geometry and the way it freezes. So the same amount of water here that has to fall as liquid precipitation that wouldn't seem like a whole lot of rain, up here where it's frozen precipitation is going to seem like a whole lot more snow because the same amount of water can create 10 times the impact of a hydrometeor, which is just the fancy word for a little bit of water that's floating around in the sky. Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do either. I accidentally clicked on the distance tool, and that is not what I'm doing. Yeah, everything else, unfortunately, here in Los Angeles looks really fucking dry. Looks like they've got a deep, dry line setting in along that coast. Most of the storms are going up here into Canada. Let's take a look at our... Oh, we have precipitation accumulation on here now. That's a cool update. Okay. I did not know that Radar Omega now has precip accumulation. That's awesome because I've had to go to other websites to show that before. Okay, so this is like a running total of our 72-hour precip accumulation, and it's both adding to and taking away from the precip totals as time marches on. That's really neat. Let's look at some satellite imagery of our water vapor. Let's look at lower level water. That's going to paint the picture of a very dry Los Angeles. Santa Ana winds. I mean, They have a name for a reason. It's not unprecedented. While the fire damage might be unprecedented, I do want people to realize that it is not unprecedented to have this particular wind setup in the area. Now, a lot of people are making a lot of accusations, assumptions, conclusions, drawing a lot of conclusions about what started the fires out here. But I can assure you that it is normal to have very high, dry winds in this area. Now, are people setting fires? Is there some sort of electrical component to this where things have surged and caused fires? Is there some sort of neglect of infrastructure that caused fires? All of these are valid questions, but whether the Santa Ana winds are abnormal or not that should not be part of your calculation of like questioning what's going on here. It is normal to have this dry air mass in the winter over there. I believe the fall is the wet season. I mean, winter would be more of a wet season too for their higher elevations, and they have gotten some decent snowpack in the higher elevations, which is good. And they get most of their rain, their moisture in the cold season, but it's not too weird to have dry winds there, I think. As we can see, there is moisture coming in from both the north and the south. There's two different streams. There's the polar jet here and the subtropical jet that is, well, we're not really at the jet stream level. Let's look at the jet stream level. This is the lower level. Upper level will show us. Oh man, that dry air blowing across LA is just even infiltrating up here. It's not moisturizing LA. LA is drying off everything else. Yeah, see that polar jet dipping down, creating the kind of a negatively tilted trough, which is giving a lot of vorticity and like storm producing juice to this area of the Midwest, the Great Lakes region. And then we also have this subtropical jet that is coming up, really bringing, if I zoomed out and was able to show the full disk of what GOES satellite is picking up, you would see that this moisture is coming off of South America and looping back around into the deep south of the United States. In the mid-levels, we're seeing the story of where storms are actually forming, kind of leading the storms here, actually, in the Great Lakes region. The moisture at mid-levels is leading where the snow precipitation is. It's kind of trailing where we've got the active precipitation in the Gulf. Let's see. Let's go to check out more of pivotal weather and see what is the story with all this upcoming cold ass weather. Let me make sure I have chat up too. Dangling. Yes, I said dangling. Okay, let's see. I thought you said dingling. That's funny. Hazards map is showing winter weather hazards here in West Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. We've got some high wind watches and warnings here. And of course, that red flag warning out in California. Let's see our forecasts. Look at this Climate Prediction Center outlook. Yeah, we are looking at well below normal, a 90% chance of temperatures being below normal in the next 6 to 10 days. And, 50 to 60% chances in some areas of below average temps. And precipitation with that, it's highly variable for some areas. When you see the white here for probability outlooks, that means that it's very on the fence of whether we'll get precipitation or not. Let's see what that means for our forecasts. So as we go into, let's go into our winter storm severity index first of all, because it looks like there is a chance that we will have winter storming into the southern Appalachians in the next 1 to 3 days. We definitely are going to have some up in West Virginia and the Dakotas, Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, Nebraska also. All of these states, New York, New Jersey, Vermont. Yes, Vermont, you are looking at a limited chance, but still a chance of winter storming in the next 3 days. Let's see when that reaches you. Yeah, the third day is when it looks like most of us are getting that biggest chance. Let's see, day 3, excessive rainfall, not rainfall, but in 3 hours, we're looking at all of these areas getting precipitation. 24 hours, that, 48 hours here. Let's see models. Let's look at the Euro for shits and giggles, because I don't always look at the Euro. Pretty high relative humidities all over the place. I don't like looking at models on this website because you have to get it to create a GIF instead of just, and like it individually loads the timestamps instead of just going to where you want it to be. So actually, let's go to Tropical Tidbits because I like their model viewer better. Forecast models, and let's go to Euro. So here's what the Euro is predicting. Got snow sweeping in as we move through Friday. Definitely in Canada, lots of snow sweeping in. And possible snow, but most likely rain showers here Saturday and Sunday. As we move into Monday, looks like we've got a storm brewing for Texas and the South again. Oh, hold on. Hold the phone. What is this? Let's look at that. Tuesday, January 21st, Monday, January 20th. So, Inauguration Day, Martin Luther King Day, we are going to have snowstorms starting in Colorado and New Mexico, as well as Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Texas getting some of that freezing rain here. Freezing rain happens, or mixed precipitation happens when we've got this frozen precipitation up top that then approaches the freezing level and maybe melts and then quickly refreezes on its way back down to the ground. Depending on how fast of a time it has to refreeze after this, going through what they call the warm nose on the SQT, then that determines what kind of frozen precipitation it is. If it only has time to super cool the liquid, it'll be freezing rain. If it has enough time to freeze solid, it will be sleet if it is a high enough temperature gradient. And it could turn back into snow if there's enough time and slow enough gradient on the refreezing chunk of the atmosphere. But really this model I just showed you, the SQT log P diagram here, this is a model sounding viewer. This is the diagram that shows you like what the clouds look like in a vertical profile. The red is the temperature, the green is the dew point, blue is the wet bulb temperature, which is the temperature that gets that the air gets decreased to once it evaporates all the things. This is a hodograph up here. That's what we look at when we're looking at what kind of frozen precipitation is going to happen. As we move from Monday into Tuesday, this spreads through the deep south. Looks like we're even getting sleet in Louisiana. And like I said, if sleet has enough time to refreeze, if there's a big enough chunk of the refreezing between the melting point and the surface, that's when it becomes sleet. Snow here, like heavy snow in this part, won't even reach the melting point. But like, let's say closer to the rain here in Texas. This has an example of the warm nose actually going across the freezing line. That is this diagonal line where 0 degrees Celsius is, spending a good amount of time out of the freezing temperatures and then going back into freezing temperatures. And that is how freezing rain works. Snow doesn't reach above the freezing temperatures. Marching forward looks nasty, looks very nasty. What is this right here? What is this little red dot? That looks gnarly. Let's see. So overnight on Tuesday, it's going to creep from Texas across northern Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, and Louisiana, into Tennessee, into Western North Carolina, and Kentucky, Virginia, so that by Tuesday morning, we have snow coming back to the deep south, just like we had over this weekend, by the 21st. So, yeah, temps to plummet, precipitation to skyrocket. We've got, I mean, let's just look at a sounding for near Asheville. Looks like solidly snow, not even a little bit icy, just really definitely the real snow. You wouldn't believe the mess freezing rain makes in Oklahoma. Well, I think I would, because I have seen what freezing rain does in other places, and it is nasty. Freezing rain is the most dangerous type of that precipitation, that winter precipitation. Freezing rain is what you don't want. You can get, okay, sleet is fine. Snow, fine. Freezing rain or daily temperatures that get above freezing and then below freezing at night, that is what causes major issues on the roads. That's what causes major power line damage and tree damage. Yeah, and this is a thick cloud. If you look at this, the actual temperature and dew point temperature go well up to 400 hectopascals. That is way up there in the atmosphere. That is a very thick snow cloud. So this is also probably going to be some decently shaped snow too, like good quality snowflakes, because if it follows this forecast trend, because look at this, staying between 10 below and 20 below freezing, this is where your snow, your good dendrite snow develops. That is really the sweet spot for snow development, like straddling the line around 10 below freezing is perfect, beautiful snowflake development territory. Now, it's going to cause a mess down here in southern Georgia because we've got good amount of freezing precipitation always going over this freezing line. So the warm nose is poking out into the above freezing area for just long enough to melt it between like 800 millibars and 900 millibars, looks like. So it's like 100 millibars of pressure where it gets to melt, and then it gets back into freezing conditions. And that is no bueno. That is not awesome. It's going to only have a very short, it happens very low to the ground too. So there's only going to be a little bit of time before this rapidly cooling water gets to the surface. I feel like Georgia and southern South Carolina are coastal areas of South Carolina. Charleston, y'all are going to be in for possibly some really nasty weather, as well as the Arklatex region. Like this area, this is sleet right here, where we reached the melting point and then immediately went back down to freezing. That's when the water melted just enough to lose its crystalline structure and then freezes fast enough to get back to like a hard ice pellet. That's how it becomes sleet. So according to the Euro, we've got a nasty snowstorm coming from places like Wilmington, even is in the 20s. This ice cold weather that's coming, this icy blast that's coming through is going to be setting us up for a very cold lower atmosphere, possibly a cold air damming event. You never know. Cold air damming is when cold air settles in at the lower surface, and the warmer, moister air that moves across it can create more precipitation than the cold down here would be able to make itself. But the cold down here is able to sustain what is made up here, so it can just keep dumping it down. That's a really bad explanation of cold air damming, just in case meteorologist is watching. Sorry, that's a bad example of, I didn't explain that good. But this is also looking like it has characteristics of a well, it's not really a northwest flow event. That one was. This, however, looks like it's going to be more like last weekend, where things are coming from the southwest going along the mountains. So places that got hit this past weekend probably going to continue to get hit pretty well. Places that got less snow than anticipated probably going to get less snow from this one. But this looks like a worse storm than the one we just experienced. Sorry, I'm so focused on the my area, I guess. Let's see. Let's look at Oklahoma here. Oklahoma, you are looking at really cold. So cold, the computer doesn't want to tell me. Yeah, woo. 13 degrees Fahrenheit. That's really freaking cold. The atmosphere can't sustain much moisture there, but that's a very deep cloud layer all the way up to 500 millibars. It's sustaining the most moisture that it can, but definitely really fucking cold. This is going to be an icy bitter wind, like an icy, not icy. This is going to be a really, really cold snowstorm. You might not have to worry about the freezing rain, though, in Oklahoma. That'll be a little further south, where that 540 thickness line is. The thickness line is kind of the classical line of where you can expect snow or not, where between 1,000 millibars and 500 millibars, you get a measurement of the thickness in meters. And when it's 540 thickness is when you go to cold, freezing snow stuff. Words. Let's take a look at, I want to see our vorticity here, mid-level vorticity. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Whoops. Definitely check that out if you're into hacking abundance. Okay, we see this storm marching in. This is the cyclonic vorticity that is going to give a lot of lift to the storm, make it able to, yep, there's the mid-level troughing coming in. That is all polar vortex right there. It's going to be cold. Let's look at temperatures, actually. 2 meter shaded temperatures. And we can see this icy cold that's coming in. The pink line dividing blue and green is the freezing point, by the way. Cold, cold, cold. Freezing, sinking in. Over the weekend, oh yeah, look at this polar vortex coming down. About to, get into the single digits in my neck of the woods, which I hate. That's nasty. That's terrible. That is life-threatening cold if you're not prepared for it. Oh, God. Look at that. Look at that. Look at all these sub-zero temperatures. I mean, that's overnight tonight. That is what's happening tonight overnight. As we get into the morning hours, we should warm up a little bit, but not getting above freezing for the mountains. And even the warmest places in the country's only in the 50s and 60s. Almost everybody else is in the 20s or 30s. Then as we march through the day tomorrow, we are, God, we're cold as fuck. Highs in the 40s. Maybe a little tiny bit of a thaw, highs in the 40s, but as we go into the weekend, that cold air starts spilling in from up north. Got a little bit of a ridge of dry, warm air in Texas, but now comes the big, scary winter air mass. That looks nasty. God. Dang, that looks cold. Okay, everybody should be wearing multiple pairs of socks and multiple pairs of underwear and shirts. Underwear? Why would you wear multiple pairs of underwear? What if you sweat through one of them? You know, you got your sweat drawers and then you got your regular ones. I don't know. Wear multiple shirts. Everything you would regularly wear 2 of them. If you would usually wear 2 of them, wear 4 of them. Wear 4 socks, you know? Oh, thank you, Jenny. I'm really glad that I was able to help. I sometimes feel like I'm wasting my time. Not wasting my time. I sometimes feel discouraged that not more people get the help and the weather help they need, but I'm glad that it's helpful for you. And I'm glad to hear that I was right, because I'm always trying to be better at forecasting. And the more mentally stable I get, the better a forecaster I am. That is not to say that meteorologists are healthy mentally as a whole. Probably the opposite would be true. But we're doing our best. The world is burning, and we are doing our best to not freak out, because we've seen it be burning for a long ass time. Looks like a pipeline in Hawaii, maybe like the Pineapple Express you're talking about here, this Southern California. I mean, they're getting into the freezing weather here in Southern California by Monday. So looks like it's going to be bitter cold for the inauguration here. Let's see what kind of sounding we're looking like for DC. Where is DC again? I know it's in like here in Maryland, but it's not like on the river. It's like right here, right? Something around there. Oh yeah, barely above freezing. Looks like potentially some nasty winter weather for the inauguration. Very, very scary stuff. Pipeline in Hawaii. I got my cloud hat on already. I want to know what you mean by cloud hat. because I'm wearing a hat, but do you mean like you're wearing one of these hats, or like you have a hat with clouds on it? Because I want to see that. That's cool. I want a cloud hat. Okay, anyway, it's gonna be really freaking cold. Don't be nice to people. Be nice to yourself and to other people. Maybe if you see somebody with a sign on the road, give them more money than you usually would, or like give them, something to keep them warm. If you know of somebody who doesn't have their heat turned on because they can't afford it, go give them an extra propane tank, or find a heater at a junkyard and start giving those out. This is the time of year that we have to pull together and come together as a team and say, we want to survive this as a community. So let's take care of each other the best we can. Okay. Woo. Okay. That's a lot of vorticity at the upper levels as we're moving through this weekend. Yeah, sweeping down the plains. High winds, really scooping up a nasty looking storm by, it goes all the way out here and swings and wants to become a cutoff low there. Okay, I've dilly-dallied around in the atmospheric weather for long enough. Let's look at our Schumann resonances. Is there anything happening right now? Because I feel like there is. I feel like something's going on, and it's not showing up in the solar weather, not showing up in the Schumann resonances either, but something's in the air. It might just be the astrology. Let's see. Let's look at that's the wrong one. Let's look at our solar weather. And SDO is back online, by the way. Southern Hemisphere coronal hole was detected in an Earth-facing position on Thursday, January 16th. Hey, that's today because it's technically Thursday from the date line. Ooh, yeah, look at this coronal hole. That is a massive coronal hole, just smack dab right in front of the Earth. It looks kind of like the dirty bubble from SpongeBob. Do you remember? That's what the sun looks like right now. This guy. Do we see it? Are we seeing the vision that I'm having? That. Okay, like those are the two eyes and that's the little mouth. It's a really rough comparison, but I'm doing my best here. You can tell I'm a millennial because I'm talking in SpongeBob references. Yeah, so we got that. It'll probably create some fast-moving solar wind. Let's see if our models have updated for that. Yeah, they have. Shows that wind is probably going to become really fast. Solar wind is going to really increase. And that's not necessarily a storm, but if anything is launched into that fast wind, it'll go really fast. Solar wind speed increasing also increases like the forcing on the magnetosphere itself. So things could happen. Let's see. Let's see what's on our. Ooh, okay. So we've got two beta, gamma, delta type configurations of sunspots, both on the same latitude up here in this like northern hemisphere region. We've got 3959 and 3962, both looking like really healthy, nasty sunspots. Solar protons I expected to be elevated today and they weren't, and I can't figure out why. So coronal hole is the big news. We did have active geomagnetic conditions today as a KP4 index was KP index of 4 was reached. Our solar flares have remained remarkably low. So maybe any day now they'll spike up. But we haven't had an M-class flare in over 3 days. And, oh, I'm glad you see it too. Big yellow dandelion looking graph. I don't know which one you are talking about. Did I show it today already? He looks like him, only more evil. I like that. The dirty bubble. The sun isn't evil, by the way. The sun is where Jesus lives. So, you know, it's not evil. Okay. Gonna go on a tangent there. Let's look at our SDO imagery. Look at that magnetogram. That's showing some nasty. I mean, even 3961 looks bad too. Let's watch this in real time. Well, not really real time. Haven't seen it in a week or more. It might be for geomagnetic storms. Okay. I will pull up some things I think you might be talking about. Is it the magnetosphere? The imagery of the magnetosphere? Let me see. The magnetosphere movies. Oh. These things, maybe? Let's look at them anyway. Oh, we've got a wake eddy, a little backwash, the magneto tail, and the wake of the solar wind is blowing back towards the Earth, which is a structure it does. Looks like a chicken egg or a yellow eye. Is this it? I think. That's it. Okay, yes. It does look like a chicken egg or a yellow eye. Very pretty. You can see the radiation bands around the Earth creating different velocities of solar wind here. This like shows the different densities and textures all in one thing. And you can see, yeah, it does look like a little dandelion around the Earth with all of those little radiation belts and satellite paths and things that will affect the velocity. Let's look at our density, and we have a healthy lens of density blocking out our Earth, protecting our Earth from the solar radiation. That's usually a pretty good thing when we have a decent chunk of density and then some less dense regions in front of the Earth that's more like having a stable atmosphere configuration, I think. That's probably why our Schumann resonances are so low in activity right now, is there's nothing like tapping on the door to make the particles fall down. Nothing like, we're pretty well protected from that solar wind right now, as far as density goes. And the pressure is looking highest in the wake of the Earth, on the night facing the night side of the Earth. This is pressure in the magnetosphere measured in nanopascals rather than hectopascals. You can see that these waves of fast solar wind aren't even budging this. And our pressure seems to be evening out as it goes around. Let's go back to see if this is loaded yet. No? Why don't you want to load? Maybe we should just do a different one. Yeah, that's pretty. This is where that hole is forming. We can see right here, this area, we saw some solar matter shedding, like zooming from one storm to the next right there. It's like a teleportation, like a wormhole. That's not what a wormhole is, but it looks like the way people animate wormholes. Let's see it in 304. This is in angstroms. This is the different numbers here are the wavelengths of light that the satellite is observing at the sun. So these are all different colors of the sun. They're not actually the color that we color code them here, but they are different wavelengths of light, of electromagnetic radiation, which is what light is. Light, visible light, happens between 400 and 700 nanometers. Angstroms are a different way to talk about, like, it's a different unit for the same thing. They're just like more used for the sun. Maybe this one will load. Yeah, look at that huge coronal hole facing us. That's got to make some really fast solar wind. Oh yeah, these three that are rotating onto Earth view look pretty hefty. Look like they're going to do some damage. Not damage, but like look like they're going to storm pretty well. So that's exciting. They got some complex magnetic structure there. Even where we have that coronal hole looks like it's got some twisty turny magnetic structure. So let's see this composite too. Or not. You could just not load for me. That's cool too. Okay, whatever. It's not going to want to load. Oh, solar wind speed is currently moderately high at 515 kilometers per second. The density is very high at 67.3. Wow, we are undergoing a little spike in density. We're getting a little bit of a blast from the sun right now. Solar wind is really high and density is really high. That's actually rare. Usually this is probably a fast-moving parcel of dense plasma coming at us. Let's see. Hemispheric power seems to be pretty elevated. I wonder if this is going to impact our disturbance storm time index or anything like that. That's really cool. Don't look like we're getting too good of an aurora right now. Let's see. Wow, that's really cool. It doesn't look like the models had us encountering any like spikes in density, so I wonder what this is from. That's really interesting. Okay. Crazy. Feeling a lot of density from the sun right now. Over 60 is very high. That is a very high density. For solar wind, over 500, it is moderately high. So looking at very high density solar activity right now. Something's happening. A little bit of a storm, a big old boom is coming in. So when we look at the magnetosphere movies tomorrow or like in an hour, whenever they've gotten this time modeled, we will see a big burst of density right around this timestamp. And it'll be like these waves of density. It may even push our lens down to connect with the rings that are around the Earth. It depends how fast it's moving, how dense it is, if it can move this entire protective shield. Yeah, it doesn't have it quite modeled yet. Let's go to our planetary weather. Planetary weather. We have got Mercury officially in the second decan of Capricorn. It's now at 11 degrees of Capricorn. I like that decan. It is a Mars decan of Capricorn. And Mars is exalted in Capricorn. This is also opposing Mars right now. This is where Mars and the Sun are having their approaching their maximum opposition at the moment. Astrologically, of course. Or maybe they already had their maximum because Mars will be moving backwards and the Sun will be moving forward. So yeah, they've just had their maximum opposition. The sun is at 26 degrees of Capricorn. The moon is at 24 degrees of Leo. They're no longer aspecting each other, but we did just have that big full moon. We've got Venus applying to a conjunction with Saturn. So the benefic Venus with the malefic Saturn. Saturn is also the ruler of Capricorn, which gives, and it's in aspect to Mercury now. So as Mercury approaches 15 degrees of Capricorn, right in the middle of this decan, Mercury will be getting that Saturnian guidance and energy from Saturn conjunct Pisces conjunct Venus in Pisces, and Venus is exalted in Pisces. So I think there's going to be a lot of positive aspects about the Saturnian energy that's going to be brought out in our Mercury, Venus, Saturn way here soon in a few days. We've also got Jupiter at 11 degrees of Gemini, and that means it is squaring that Venus and Saturn conjunction. But I think for a Saturn-Jupiter square, this is maybe not awesome for Jupiter things, but a better condition for Saturn to be in. Mars opposite Sun right now is also kind of opposite Pluto. But we're moving out of the opposition of Mars and Pluto into like the retrograde cycle, which it'll soon go back to opposing Pluto. But for now, we get a little teeny bit of a break as we're out of aspect, as we're approaching being out of aspect, 5-degree orb aspect of Mars opposite Pluto, but still thematically opposing each other. Uranus squares the moon right now, which can be hard for people to deal with. It can mean some hard changes in the material world or related to celebrities or actors or not necessarily public figures, but people who get attention. The emotions of our leaders, the emotions of the ego, emotions related to the ego and the self, the pride you take in your work, your creative work, your home and family kind of thing. Maybe your kids are disappointing you, or you feel like a disappointment of a child. Maybe Uranus and Taurus have some feelings about the way the structure of the world is going right now. Lots of things could be said here. That's about all I want to talk about. Oh, we are just about to get the nodes entering new signs. That we are in the last degree of Aries and Libra nodal axis, which is where our eclipse cycle just took place most recently. Yeah, it could be Hollywood celebrities, honestly. That is a good point. The nodes are going to move into Pisces and Virgo, which will be our next series of eclipses. And this transition between Pisces and Aries is going to be a really important energetic point for the next year or two. It's a lot of big transits are happening around here, so keep your eyes peeled for that. For now, we still have a dominance of feminine sign planets, but that will not be the case for a lot of the year. Let's go now to looking at our energetic weather. Energetic weather. I want to put this over here. Let's see. And you know what that means. It's time for the thingy. The singy thingy. The singing bowl. It says, in hopes that I give the most loving take on the energies that I'm about to get a reading of. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to ask the tarot first. Tarot paired with Flashy Labby. Beautiful flash. I say this every time. It's like a mermaid scale. Hello. Wakey, wakey. Okay. So what are the vibes right now? What is the energetic weather? What's the weather for today from the realms that can only be told through the chaos, the order, the mercurial practice of cartomancy? Trying to feel the energy of the cards. That one. Ten of Cups reversed. Now, this is a very abundant and beautiful card that in reverse means maybe we're not quite there yet. Ten of Cups reversed is less of a rainbow after the storm and maybe a little bit more like foreshadowing that there is a storm that will have a rainbow at the end of it eventually. Maybe we are falling short of our happy wife, happy life kind of thing. This is, not the best vibe because you want the Ten of Cups upright. It's so happy and sweet and joyful. It's got this rainbow containing 10 bountiful cups, a couple and their children celebrating, rejoicing with a house on a hill and a river, abundant land. In reverse, perhaps you have put your pursuit of material needs above your pursuit of emotional stability. Maybe you are not going to be able to attain this level of, maybe we're not able to attain this rainbow feeling because we are too focused in the mundane. We're getting caught up in the storm of life and not letting things play out naturally by attracting the vibration we want with our actions. You can't work yourself in a life of misery into a life of bliss. You have to bliss your way into a life of bliss. You can't just say, I'll feel the feeling once I've earned it. It's not how it works. I think you got to just be happy now. Okay. Let's see what else is coming up related to that. I'm going to ask the liminal space next. the ocean jasper with that one. I let the wood stove go out. Now I have to restart it. I put wood in it. I don't know if it's going to catch. Oh, I hope you can get it restarted. It's very cold where we are in our locations. We're on the same thermal band, but very different locations. Make sure it's got that good airflow. Praying for you. If you believe in the fire, it lights better. If you envision it lighting, I swear it makes it light. I don't know. I don't know how to explain my reasoning on that one. Okay. All right, liminal space. What have you got to say with this Ten of Cups reverse kind of reading? Death is the healing. It's getting dark tonight. Death is the healing, and it's got a picture of the light, the metaphorical light. Go towards the light, don't go towards the light. That portal, the pathway that death is. Let's see. Death is the healing. A virus is programmed to avoid detection by the host, but here you are. Some would say life is the virus, while others assert that we can only fathom death because we were once dead. Nonetheless, death is the doorway that transports you from this plane to another. If the greatest human affliction is our attachment to our stories, then death is the ultimate healer, bringing with it a relief from the pain and the burden of them, our stories. Do not grasp so tightly to the trappings of this life that you are unable to see the mercy of this cycle you were born to live into. What is lost will again be found. It explains the Ten of Cups reversed a little bit more. There is a lot more liberation that can be felt surrounding death than our culture currently lends it. We absolutely can think of people dying people in our lives dying, or our own deaths, as liberatory experiences from the suffering of the world. Like, this can be seen as being in heaven, or the sheer bliss of being on the other side. Now, you don't have to go and kill yourself. That is never the way you need to do it. But time will do it for you. Sometimes it is freeing to know that you don't have to be worried about your own mortality, that it's going to happen when it happens, either way. And you're not a good or a bad person. You can't good or bad person your way out of dying, and that it is something that is a blessing that's given to us at the end of our lives. Yeah, I think it's easy for me to say that when I haven't died yet, but you know, hopefully you only do that once. Some people do it more than once. Let's see now. Let's get a little bit more of a positive note from the affirmations deck. I've got my selenite with me on that one. All right, who wants to come out and play with Ten of Cups reversed and Death is the Healing for the vibes of the day? Whatever abundance I seek is mine. It is law. And it's got somebody lounging on a cloud underneath a beautiful sun in the sky. Whatever I desire and then allow, I must experience. There is no exception to that. As I hold myself in vibrational alignment with my own desire, I will experience in all ways the fulfillment of that desire. That goes back to what I was talking about with the Ten of Cups. You need to hold yourself in vibrational alignment with what you're trying to attract rather than waiting for the perfect recipe for that thing to be assembled. You have to manifest an emotion. There's no way to physically maneuver the rest of the world in order to induce an emotional state. You can get close to approximating attracting good emotional states from manipulating the physical world around you, but it will always be an approximation of what real emotion would be like if you actually attracted it by being on the vibration of it. Imagine what it would feel like to hold the trophy rather than thinking of the technical aspects you need to do to win the game. Now, technical aspects to win the game will help, but the vision has got to be there. Okay. So let's envision a year in which, while death may feel imminent, we feel somewhat at peace with it and liberated by the fact that this world cannot oppress us forever. It may be scary, but our bodies do eventually give all of their energy back to the universe in whatever way you believe in, science or religion, however you want to describe the process of death. We do eventually get to give it all back to the rest of the world to recycle into something else. So it may feel really scary at times this year when people will be openly calling for your death or making threats on your life, or there will be possible war or bombs coming. We don't have to feel mentally imprisoned by that. We can always attract the states of being and the abundance that we want to attract by making peace with the possibility of death, making peace with the possibility of undergoing violence, making peace with it, but trying not to attract it. The reverse is true for manifestation. From, like, you can manifest good feelings. You can also manifest bad feelings by focusing too much on the vibration of what it would be like if somebody were harming you. And that can really magnetically, really quickly attract that kind of state in your world. So try not to focus too much on how afraid you are of the future, of other people, of things in this world that suck. Try to focus on what makes you actually feel good and feel abundant and feel happy and overflowing with emotion and joy. Because the manifestation goes both ways. So try not to focus on the fear unless you want to manifest fear. And that would make you a terrorist if you manifest fear. So don't do that. Okay. I'm going to go now. It's been a lovely little hour and a half with y'all. I love you very much. I am working on dyeing my hair. Here's a little sneak preview. This is the blank slate. I'm serving Garth from Wayne's World energy right now. I've got the haircut. I've got the blank slate. I've got the paper to draw. I've got the canvas, the blank canvas for my artwork to blossom. And I think I'm going to use an astrological election to select when I do the hair coloring process. So that'll be coming up soon. And I think I'm going to do a video about it too. So stay tuned. All right. Yeah. So that's it for today's weather tonight. I've been Cloud Hudson. You've been lovely. Thank you. I do like my hair blonde. In real life, it looks a little more yellow and jarring. It's a little bit of a shocking color. I would need to add a shadow root or something to that. But I think it's gonna look cool. Don't worry. Okay. I love you guys so much. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.